Welcome to This Week in East Brunswick. This week we honor our veterans as we have highlights from the township's annual Veterans Day ceremony, and we have a special In Our Schools as we check out what East Brunswick High School did to honor the men and women who have served our country. Then we head to the Zimmerli Art Museum at Rutgers University, where an exhibit on sports and recreation in France is currently on display in conjunction with Rutgers' inaugural season in the Big Ten Conference. Then East Brunswick Public Library's Information Services Manager, Karen Perry, has information on the Affordable Health Care Act and what the library is doing to make it easier for residents to sign up and make sense of their different options. All this, plus we have a sneak peek at the Playhouse 22 production of Mame, and we'll let you know how to score tickets. So stay with us. This Week in East Brunswick starts now.
Hello and welcome to the latest exhibition of European prints and drawings at the Zimmerli Art Museum. This fall, in conjunction with Rutgers' inaugural season competing in the Big Ten, we have pulled out a selection of works from our French drawings, prints, and photographs that demonstrate the rise of a sporting and recreation culture in France, particularly Paris, during the 19th century. Throughout Western Europe and the United States, sports became a more integral part of leisure activity and culture. During the Civil War in the United States was when baseball sort of became an active pastime. And around the same time in England, horse racing and also organized sports like rugby are becoming more popular, particularly in schools. Schools are incorporating team sports into their curricula in England. In France, this interest in sporting activities really took off beginning in the 1870s, not only because of the example in the United States and England, but also because of the sound defeat that France took at the hands of the Prussian army during the Franco-Prussian War, which ended in 1871 and resulted in France actually ceding territory to the Prussian Empire. In the sort of soul-searching that occurred following this defeat, one of the factors that was continually cited was how fit and strong the Prussian soldiers were. And so physical fitness sort of became part of the national agenda in France in the 1870s. Sports was also part of the entertainment culture, which many of us are more familiar with in the 19th century in France. Alongside the cabarets and cafes where you could see singers and dancers, you could often also see athletic activities. And many new venues were created during the 19th century where you could see such activities. One of these was the Hippodrome in Paris. This was a very large stadium that could seat about 6,000 spectators. And the name Hippodrome refers to its primary spectacles that were on view there, which were related to horses. But there were also many other types of activities that took place at the Hippodrome. And this is a poster by the great poster artist Jules Chéret from the 1880s. Which demonstrates that foot races were also part of the entertainment program at the Hippodrome. This poster tells us that there were foot races every Tuesday and Friday, and then the text down here talks about some of the other performances that one could see. But then the most important information is that anyone, men or women, could sign up to participate in these foot races between 9 and 11 any morning. So this tells us that it was popular enough both for participants and for spectators that they could present it twice a week. Another opportunity to see athletic feats was at the circus in 19th century France. And we have a sort of publicity photograph of a very famous performer named Miss Lala. This photograph was taken in 1881 when she was really at the height of her fame. She was an international celebrity performing with her circus troupe, and she was specifically known for her feats of strength. she was so famous that actually Edgar Degas made her the subject of the only painting he ever made of a circus subject. But what we love about this photograph in particular, and we really appreciate today, is just the photograph is staged to really show off just how strong she is. Many people who looked at this photograph without knowing exactly who it is sort of says, oh, is that a gymnast? So she definitely has that athletic posture, and that is her calling card at this point. And it's interesting to note that she features very prominently in an early 20th century history of bodybuilding that was published in France around 1905. We have a nice group of works by the artist Louis Anquetin, who was very famous in the 19th century, not as well known today. He had kind of a career where he would burst onto the scene with many famous exhibitions and works, and then he would kind of retreat to the studio for a few years and not produce quite as much. But then when he reemerged, he was always taking a different direction with his work. This print, which is called The Finish Line at Longchamp, is from about 1893, and it is flanked in the exhibition by two related drawings, also of horse racing at Longchamp, the racetrack just outside of Paris. And this interest in depicting horse racing emerges after one of these sort of self-imposed retreats by the artist. And we do know that in the years leading up to this, he visited the racetrack at Longchamp as well as one at Auteuil, and got permission not only to sketch in the stands, but also to sort of go back to the stables to get a closer look at the horses and the jockeys. Anquetin in this print captures both the excitement of the participants and the spectators in this, who are watching the completion of this horse race. In addition to the great athleticism of the riders and the horses in this, there's also these postures of the jockeys and the horses sort of leaning in is mirrored by the spectators who are so involved in the race. A work like this really captures what was so interesting and exciting about sports culture in France. Was it provided opportunities not only to witness athletic ability, but also the opportunity for different classes to mix out in the fresh air and just to see something a little bit out of their everyday experience. Cycling and recreational bicycling became probably the signature sport in France in the late 19th and early 20th century. We have a nice example of the early connection of sports and marketing with this poster by the artist Edouard Vuillard, who's better known as a painter, but he was also very active as a printmaker, although this is the only full-color poster that he ever made. And it shows in his wonderful, almost abstract style where we get a bird's eye view of a velodrome, a bicycle racing track, with a bike race in progress and sort of the finishers over here. And then in the field around which they're cycling, we have the product at hand, which is called bacon. And it's the word bacon is actually another word for bike in French. And this poster is telling us that cyclists take bacon, a tonic that is based in meat and will restore you after your bike ride. So it's sort of an early sports drink that is capitalizing on the interest in cycling, both as something that people participate in, that's something people watch, and that has its own celebrities and a culture where saying that cyclists take a particular drink is going to help sell it. And interestingly, at this point, there are professional bike riders. They have sponsorships from bike companies, and there are very highly organized biking competitions that are attracting crowds of 20,000 in Paris at this time. So this exhibition will be on view through January 17th, 2015. The Zimmerli Art Museum is located at 71 Hamilton Street in New Brunswick on the College Avenue campus of Rutgers University. Admission is free to visit the museum and for many events. Zimmerli is open Tuesdays through Fridays from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 5. The museum is open until 9 p.m. on the first Tuesday of each month for Art After Hours. Join us for curator-led tours, live music, and other exciting activities. Admission is free. Visit our website at www.zimmerlimuseum.rutgers.edu for more information.
Today in our schools is here at East Brunswick High School. I'm here with Tom Hussar, who is the Department Chair of Social Studies and Media, Maureen Stabe, who is a counselor, and Lauren Rice, who is a counselor. There was a very exciting Veterans Day event this morning, and I'd like Tom to tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you, Beth. Hosting Veterans Day here at the high school is an important part of what we do in East Brunswick High School to celebrate all that our armed service members do for our country. The message that we want our students to get as they left today's ceremony is that you can't celebrate Veterans Day on one day in a vacuum and think about it for 15 minutes and that's it. It has to be something that you think about on an ongoing basis and really appreciate all that they do for our country.
We celebrate this Veterans Day for a very few minutes, a few seconds of silence, and then this country's life goes on. But I think it most appropriate that we recall on this occasion and on every other moment when we are faced with great responsibilities, the contribution and the sacrifice which so many men and their families have made in order to permit this country to occupy its present position of responsibility and freedom, and in order to permit us to gather here today. In a world tormented by tension and the possibilities of conflict, we meet in a quiet commemoration of an historic day of peace. In an age that threatens the survival of freedom, we join together to honor those who made our freedom possible. The resolution of the Congress, which first proclaimed Armistice Day, described November 11th, 1918 as the end of the most destructive, gruesome, and far-reaching war in the history of human annals. That resolution expressed the hope that the First World War would be, in truth, the war to end all wars. It is a tragic fact that these hopes have not been fulfilled, that wars still more destructive and still more gruesome have followed, that man's capacity to devise new ways of killing his fellow men have far outstripped his capacity to live in peace with his fellow man. Some might say, therefore, that this day has lost its meaning, that the shadow of the new and deadly weapons have robbed this day of its great value. But let us not forget that November 11th, 1918 signified a beginning as well as an end. The purpose of all war is peace. The First World War produced man's first great effort in recent times to solve by international cooperation the problems of war. That experiment continues in our present day, still imperfect, still short of its responsibilities, but it does offer a hope that someday nations can live in harmony. These are the words of John Kennedy as he recognized Veterans Day in 1961 for the first time as president. What amazed me when I read his address is that President Obama could give that same speech today and the message would still apply. We are still in search of a world where wars are a very last resort, where weapons do not fall into the hands of those bent on destroying our way of life. And finally, where we as a nation can truly comprehend and appreciate all that our men and women in uniform do to protect our liberties at home. What is great about these real American heroes over here is that we have access to them every day. They're a hall aide, your coach, a teacher, your superintendent, your mailman. They number over 21 million Americans, and come tomorrow, their service cannot be forgotten until November 11th, 2015. While they look upon it as their duty to protect the liberties that we so cherish, we must see it as our duty to honor their legacy and celebrate them on an ongoing basis as the heroes that they truly are.
And I know that Maureen and Lauren, you had a big role in organizing the event. Maureen, can you tell us a little bit about who was involved today?
Pretty much this was a whole school event. As you know, classes were invited out. I have to say, Lauren and I work in a great department. Everybody helped. Everybody pitched in wherever there was anything to do. Of course, Tom Hussar is just incredible, and working with him is a rare treat. Believe me, Tom. The principal, of course, and all the administrators have been behind everything we've done, and it's really just been an honor to be part of this, and I'm very proud to be part of the East Brunswick High School staff.
Thank you. There were some students involved today, Lauren. Can you tell us about them?
Sure. We had 2 students from the chorus who sang America the Beautiful for us this morning. We also had Kyle, who is a bugler, who did the Star Spangled Banner and Revelry.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleamed, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Yeah, one of the great opportunities about today is that our armed service members go out into the rooms and have a Q&A session with the students. We've done this in the past, and it has been very, very successful in terms of the students really getting an understanding of what it means to wear that uniform, what it means to represent your country, and what it means to do so oftentimes on foreign soil. So it's a great educational experience that lasts throughout the day.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here today and to celebrate Veterans Day at East Brunswick High School.
The township held their annual Veterans Day ceremony, and you can catch the ceremony in its entirety on EBTV starting November 15th and running through the 26th, on Saturdays at 3 and 8 p.m., Sundays at 5:30 p.m., and Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Or visit ebtv.org and check out the video on demand playlist under Township Programs.
It is my honor again to participate in this important ceremony, and together with the members of the Township Council, I thank you for attending. We gather tonight to show our gratitude and respect to all veterans of the United States Armed Forces. We are grateful not only to the men and women who served and continue to serve our country, but also to their loved ones for supporting them as they make the greatest sacrifice that a young man or woman can make. Many of our veterans are not present here. Some never made it back home, but I'd ask that each and every veteran, including Corporal Smith, to stand today and be recognized by all of us.
On this day, we come together to honor and to thank our veterans for their courage, sacrifice, and service. We thank all who stand up in defense of freedom and those who made the ultimate sacrifice, laying down their lives that we might live.
Bless
The library and you, a perfect place to gather for fun and learning, and always the most trusted place to turn for health information. When it comes to health insurance and the Affordable Care Act, otherwise known as the ACA, rest assured that the library is ready to help you and already has programs and website links in place. The magic date to register or re-register for the Affordable Care Act is November 15th, 2014 through February 15th, 2015. Check out our health portal at www.welllinks.org for links to the government site healthcare.gov to view your health insurance options, get estimates, and register or re-register. There's also a link to cms.gov for what's called coverage to care if you already registered and need a little extra help with understanding your new health benefits, help finding a doctor, or help with learning about preventative services that you now have to live a long and healthy life. Should you need that little extra personal touch with the Affordable Care Act, the library will have government representatives on hand on Saturday, November 22nd from 12 to 4 p.m. by appointment. They will help you to pick out which plan that's right for you and your family, and even help you to fill out the forms or enroll or re-enroll. You must sign up for a time slot in advance by contacting Jill D'Amico at 732-390-6772 or emailing jdamico@ebpl.org. You will find Jill's phone number and email on the health portal at www.welllinks.org and then click on the Helping Hands icon. It always brings peace of mind to know that the East Brunswick Public Library is your community partner and is the place to turn for health and wellness information that you can trust.
My name is Jerry Appel, and I'm the director of Mame. Mame is the story of Patrick Dennis, who at 10 years old lost his father and was dropped into the hands of his very eccentric aunt, who was a bohemian elite in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. She was absolutely crazy in a fun way.
Won't I have to go to any school at all?
Well, maybe we'll enroll you part-time in Ralph Devine's lovely laboratory of life. But you know who's going to be your teacher most of the time? What?
Basically, she believed that life is a banquet and most poor SOBs are starving to death. And she basically showed that to this boy.
Before you find her a dull fellow, punching the same clock, or walking the same tightrope as everyone on the block.
It's a comedy, and boy, do we need that now. This is a perfect show for escapist entertainment.
Gooch, you have lovely eyes. Take these glasses off and leave them off forever.
But Miss Charles, I can't see anything out of my right eye.
Well, who can? Look out of your left one.
The show is ready. All it needs is an audience right now. And we're seeing ticket sales increase. This show is going to sell out, especially when word of mouth gets out there about it. I strongly suggest you get tickets right away for Mame because you're going to have a heck of a time. It's a wonderful musical, and those songs are going to stick with you all the way home and for the rest of the week. Come, enjoy the party. It's a great one.
The East Brunswick Public Library, in partnership with the Moms Club of East Brunswick, held a fire safety story time and let children explore a real fire truck as the Brookview Volunteer Fire Company showed off the equipment. Thanks for watching This Week in East Brunswick, and we'll see you next week.